A very, very, very happy evening to all the wonderful viewers on Wow Talks. I'm really excited about today because we're going to be talking about a topic which is very, very close to my heart. And I've got two wonderful, wonderful guests with me. Two incredible ladies, one of whom I've known for a while, one who I've actually met today on the Zoom call itself. And we just started talking as if it's all fine. So, just a little bit about Wow Talks and why I've been doing this. One of those mornings I woke up and just seeing the number of messages that were there on my mobile on COVID and coronavirus kind of rattled me. And I felt that this phrase kind of came to my mind that spread cheer, not fear. And I just felt that even through all this, can we do something which is very positive, which is very different? And, that's how, and you ought to begin with your circle of influence. So, which was my page. So every Wednesday, I would call a few people and we would just chat, we would talk. Right now it's like the last few talks have been actually been viewed by some 25,000 people, and I was like, oh, that's how much people are taking to just these friendly talks which are going to actually, I think we're all looking for connection and we're all looking for fun insights which we just don't know when it comes by us. So that's the whole concept. And usually I love this time of the day because it's that evening chai time where you're nibbling on something, the sunset's there. Today it's a very, very rainy day, but I'm too excited because I've got two almost like bursts of sunshine guests with me. So let me welcome them. Raageshwari, hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. I'm great. So it's afternoon time for me. So Megha, you'll be happy to know I love every time of the day, but early morning, as Lina knows. So I'm just so happy to be connected with
Thank
you,
you.
my darling Lina, and everybody who's streaming in and joining us. Megha,
Yes, so Raageshwari for a lot of us doesn't need much of an introduction. If you've seen Dunya song, मैंने देखी है, that where she's, I don't know how old you were then, Yageshwari, but it was, I think, a teen pop favorite song, and everyone was singing it at one point. So she's an actor, an award-winning singer of many music albums, and an MTV VJ. Raageshwari Loomba Swaroop needs no introduction. Her mindfulness career includes her work with her guru Jack Canfield, an affirmation CD with the late Louise Hay, and a Tibetan Rites documentary and performing at the Nobel Peace Centre as well. That's amazing, Raageshwari. It's like, as I'm reading this, I feel like from that pop world, I remember seeing you in movies, and the second half of your introduction only goes into the within. It's all about mindfulness. So I'm going to be asking you a little more about that. But let me get to Lina. Hi, Lina. How are you?
Hi, Megha. I'm great. Hi, Raageshwari.
sweet.
So Lina is one of those people I've met quite a few times, and she is this burst of positivity. Lina, I don't know if you have low days. We'll talk about that, but you look like someone who's on a perpetual high, and it's beautiful. And I love how happy you are, how positive you are, and how empowered I've always seen you. So that's how I know her. Of course, a little bit of her formal introduction is Lina Ashar is one of the most renowned edupreneurs in India. She's the founder emeritus of Kangaroo Kids Education that runs Kangaroo Kids Preschools and Billabong High International Schools. That's a very short introduction. You're going to get to know her in person very soon. So the topic that I chose today is very close to my heart, Raageshwari, Lina. It's called the breakthrough, and we'll talk about why it's so close to my heart. But I want both of you to tell our viewers, what does this word breakthrough really mean to you, and maybe share one moment, maybe one of your first breakthroughs where you felt that, oh yeah, something happened and life before and after changed forever. I'd love to hear from you. Should we begin with Raageshwari?
Sure. My definition of breakthroughs is very, very different, Megha, to what the concept out there is, because people think breakthroughs are, some kind of a dream coming true. But I think that there is such an amazing breakthrough in a challenge. So currently everybody thinks, right, I've become an author. Wow, what a breakthrough to have a Penguin publishing, company as your debut publishing for your book. But for me, my breakthrough was my facial paralysis. And I can only see that in retrospect. At that point, I realized it after maybe 2 years when I got into mindfulness. Because not that it changed me, because once a singer, always a singer. I mean, I still have people who sing, come and sing. I still do sporadic events, uh, singing and dancing on stage. All that still continues. But once you have that connect with your inner self, then you're positive, exactly how you see Lina at all times, because you just realize that life is not just about the highs, but also really enjoying the lows. And then once you master that art of embracing challenges, then you realize, my goodness, this is what we need to teach our children, because those are the problems that actually paralyze us mentally when we grow up. Goodness, heartbreak or financial problems or ups and downs in careers. So my breakthrough, I really believe, was after my facial paralysis. My journey, began. I realized the power of meditation, mindfulness, and then everything connected with that. And it taught me, that we're wasting time judging people, we're wasting time judging situations, we're wasting time judging ourselves. And the beauty is to really sit back, enjoy whatever life brings you, cry when you need to, laugh all the more when you feel like, and you'll really, I think Jim Carrey said it so beautifully. I wish I could give everyone an Oscar, so that people could realize that it actually, it's no big deal after a week. You just come back to the level that you were before the Oscar to begin with. So it's all about your inner world creating your outer world, your connect with your inner self. Lina?
So I've had two breakthroughs. One is a positive breakthrough, but I think because my mom practiced Buddhism, I was always surrounded by monks and spiritual conversation. And it was when I walked out of my house in Australia, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and just the green, and I was fixated on a butterfly, and I must have been fixated on the butterfly for more than half an hour. So I had gone into a meditative state without even realizing I was in a state of meditation. And that's the first time I realized that there's a connection beyond the physical body, and there's a connection to a wider universe that we somehow can't really make sense of. And ever since then, I felt very protected and very when I come up with an idea with my instructional designers, and they say, wow, what a great idea. It's like Nikola Tesla says, that there's some field out there and you're just a conduit for accepting it if you're in the flow, right?
Flow.
Yeah. So if you're in the flow, then you can actually receive that the gifts that the universe is giving you, as long as you believe the universe is working for you. And then a breakthrough, why they use the term breakthrough, I guess, is because you have to get to some place of force to push through, right? So you have to come to some place of resistance to push through. And just like Raageshwari said, I too only connected the dots years later. But it's when, in 2006, I had to face a personal sort of crisis, or what I saw as a crisis at that point in time, which was the breakup of my marriage. And then also that my business was absolutely taking a dive. So you break through, a breakthrough happens when you absolutely fall rock bottom somehow. And then there's only one way, and that's the way up. And I think that's the first time when there's no fear of failure anymore, right? Because you've already hit rock bottom. There's nowhere else you can go, where you can actually then start accepting messages from the universe to start your process of growth. And as Raageshwari said, the whole thing is, the biggest problem today with kids is that they think life is supposed to be without problems. We smooth the way for them. We don't allow them the little bits of, antibodies that they need to meet by having the little experiences that are actually seen as, challenging ones. And then you're just in a state of acceptance, because the minute you realize that life actually happens for you. So anything that happens, whether it's negative or it's positive, it's actually happening for your growth and for your, for you maximizing and optimizing your potential in terms of a human being. Then everything becomes a state of acceptance.
Wow.
I love the way you said that. And Lina, my guru, Mahatria, says that you're never given an experience that is not needed for your evolution. So, the simplest to the toughest. And what I loved about what both of you shared was that usually I've always associated a lot of positivity to the word breakthrough. It's like, oh, I'm waiting for my breakthrough. I'm waiting for this to happen. But for both of you, it was like you said, like, it's like something that may not look very good or exciting or it's a good event, but you used it and that became your breakthrough. So actually, everything can just teach, and you just don't know from where that breakthrough comes.
Megha, it's only the negative. That's what people think, right? The challenges are considered negative. Mistakes are considered negative. Today, we have science that proves that your brain only grows when you make mistakes. So you learn lessons only when you have challenges and mistakes. While we are buying into culture saying, oh my goodness, you made a mistake, so the child feels threatened. We as adults are constantly so feared of being judged negatively. But actually, once you let go of that fear and you master that, no, and that is such a journey in itself. But we can teach children very early to be authentic. Then, so it's a beautiful journey. So, like you said, that breakthroughs necessarily are not just positive where the worldview is concerned. They could actually be negative to your definition, but they are important for your evolution, important for your growth, important for you to really self-actualize and realize. Yeah.
I just want to know one thing, that why is it that some people use an experience to grow out of it, but a lot of people don't? Like they're stuck in the loop, or they just let it drown them completely. So for both of you, I want to know that how is it that you've been able to stay on the positive end? What made you pick yourself up? How did you choose those right thoughts, Lina? When
So, so
Yeah.
I think one of the things is, and I actually read in Raageshwari's book yesterday. I'm reading her book because on Sunday we've got a moonshot conversation, and it's something that I've put in my curriculum all the time, which is a process of reframing. So if we take this time of the pandemic and we say lockdown and we use that kind of language, the association that comes up in the mind, because understand every word has an emotional charge based on how our parents have viewed it and how they've given the experience to us, right? So I'll just give you an example. I was on a flight one day after the Bali bombings, and I was on a flight to Australia, and there was an Australian gentleman, and he goes, oh God, the news just happened, and he said, oh my God, we're going to have to shift again. We live in Indonesia, we're going to have to shift again. Oh my God, my kids are going to have to settle and remake friends and redo this and redo that. And I said, I just want to draw your awareness to one thing. I said, however you perceive this time is how your children will perceive it. So you can either perceive it as a time of dread and challenge and oh my God, or you can actually perceive it as a time of adventure and new ways of learning, etc., etc. And exactly how you perceive it is how your children are going to perceive it. So we learn this language from our parents, from our surrounding, which is why Raageshwari's book is so important. Have I frozen?
No, you're fine.
Okay, the whole thing froze for a second.
No, we were mesmerized by what you said.
So, Raageshwari's book is tremendously important, which is about, it teaches you to reframe, it teaches you the mindfulness, and it's the reason why I'm building Corroboree, which is a parent engagement platform, because what I've realized is, you want to drive a car, there's a learning. You want to become a teacher, you have to learn some stuff. I know, Megha, you teach people how to write, but you become a parent, where do you go? You'd have to read like 5 million books to actually get the wisdom from the time of, the Panchatantras to today, the amount of wisdom that's sitting there. So it's really important for parents to be mindful about how they are being and what they're doing and what they're saying around their kids. And the minute I think parents become mindful, children become mindful. That's why, for Raageshwari's book, I actually said, even if you don't have a child, we've all got inner wounded children within us that need to be healed. So that's, that's basically how I'm viewing it.
Lina, just one thing, like I saw mindfulness in action right now. I call my wow talks as real people, real emotions, real inspiration. The moment you said, "Am I frozen?" immediately Raageshwari said, "No, we're just mesmerized." So to come up with a witty one-liner or to come up, in fact, sense of humor is only possible when you're in the moment and when you're in the flow. And
Yes.
I could just see that, Raageshwari, that it didn't take you didn't bat an eyelid. You just jumped in with that. So it means you're in the present continuous, right? So tell us more about this journey of yours, Raageshwari, especially you're a star, at the peak of your career. And that's when something like Bell's palsy happens to you, or tell us about it. How did you face it? What did you do? And how did you make it like a big breakthrough for you?
So very connected to your previous question as well, right? That why are some people positive? Why are some people negative? Why do some people take challenges positively, negatively? Exactly what Lina said, that, what we've been hearing, our inner dialogue. And so our childhood is such a template to our life. Panchatantra has said that, Chanakya Niti has said that, and now science research, Harvard research consistently tells you. So that definitely gets locked into our memory. Now, coming back to my family, very simple, very similar to Lina's parents, very spiritual, simple family, worked very hard. And I think the focus was always hard work and kindness. I don't remember being told I was pretty or beautiful, which I think is fabulous, because I don't say that to Samaya anymore, right? Because we just, are slaves to culture, that we have to look a certain way, and that being beautiful is a compliment, which shouldn't be. I think kindness, being affectionate, being generous, being grateful, these are amazing attributes that we must encourage children and ourselves to have. So I think when my face was lopsided, and I was in touch with Lina, her wonderful brother Kamal, we were all close, and everyone was shocked, absolutely, seeing someone who's young, who doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, typical standards, right, of health. And it definitely shocks you. But more than it affecting my perception of how I looked, it affected the inability that I could not work, right? I had so many commitments that I had to back out of. And the fact that I could not speak clearly, let alone sing, returning, projects, saying, no, I cannot be a part of this, and just totally not being able to work. That was difficult. And with time, I realized, my goodness, it's not just about being in front of TV is not the only thing I'm capable of. So with time, when I realized, through meditation, through my inner work, through really being all alone by default, right? I had to be alone because I was uncomfortable meeting people or being seen, in the capacity of being unable to really communicate simple things. So I started to just remain at home, which was a good thing. And I then looked at my library with all these books which I'd never read. And then came out Alpha Silver Mind Control, which was the first book that actually introduced me to, wow, meditation. Now, let me tell you, it's so interesting what Lina said, that, your childhood is the template. Now, because she had parents who meditate, and I've seen her mama who meditates for hours effortlessly, it was the same ambience at home when I grew up, because my father worked with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. So I would always see whenever they had problems, be it financial or health issues, they would sit and meditate. So as a child, I would think they're quite silly. These parents just meditate in a corner instead of going out there and doing something, not realizing that when you meditate, you actually awaken the inner genius, and you get amazing balanced answers, that this is the path I need to take. So that's the process that took place with my paralysis. But yes, it was tough initially, because I did not want to believe, that I could not work anymore, or at least for a year or two. But with time, I realized, and there was a shift with gratitude, and that created the shift, because I just could not believe how I could feel grateful at that point. But conversations with my mother, and then finally meeting people who were paralyzed, and then I realized facial paralysis is no big deal. What am I worried about facial paralysis? When I finally met the patients who were paralyzed neck down, or paralyzed on the left side of the body or the right side of the body, or had strokes for the second time, or had to leave home because the spouses were not able to look after them. So when you have that shift and you say, my goodness, I'm magnifying myself and thinking the world revolves around me, And then with humility and with gratitude, then you realize, hey, listen, I think you're just lucky. You're just absolutely grateful. So in that situation that Lina said about this particular person talking about the Bali attacks, there you go, talking about changing, mentally reframing it and saying, thank goodness I'm alive. Thank goodness my children are alive. Thank goodness I escaped that catastrophe. And then from that point on, no, this can be a learning experience. And wow, we're going to face this challenge. And this is going to be an amazing turn of events, but something, wonderful and adventurous could come out of it. And if you can program your mind. People say, I can't do it. And I say, your brain is so amazing. It's such a computer. Just say it like a mantra, first day, second day, just say it like a chant. And first day, second day, your body will say, what are you talking about? This is not the truth. Fourth day, it just gives up and says, okay, I'll follow. And fifth day, it becomes an affirmation and it becomes a reality. Yeah.
Wow. I think you literally summed up like a Louise Hay book,
Wow.
in a,
Hey, I love her. I love her. So she's such a goddess of affirmations. So I was lucky, I totally, I have her book. So even if I get a cough and a cold, I'm like, what am I confused about? Which decisions I'm not making easily? If I get a fever, I'm like, who am I upset about? Who do I have to forgive? So I'm totally into Louise Hay. So
I do that as well. Like the minute I have some stomach upset, I'm like, am I angry? What am I? Release, everything. It's like, so Lina, I know you have also been a big believer of mind, I mean, whenever I've met you, one thing that we've always spoken about is how mind matters and how it's changed everything. In fact, I'd love for you to share a little bit of the stuff that you'd shared with me where, you saw two brothers and how the differences and how everything kind of shaped you as a person. And if you could talk about some of the mind techniques you use to keep yourself this positive.
So one of the things Raageshwari said, which has a real science to it. So when you're chasing happiness, you can't chase happiness. By being grateful, you become happy. So basically, the brain science is such that we all have a negativity bias, right? Because from our evolutionary point of view, when we had to be in the jungle and survive, we had to be on the watch out for tigers more often and snakes rather than looking at the beauty of the fruit. So our minds have been programmed to look for the bad over looking for the good. Today, we don't have that anymore, and yet our brains are still programmed that way. Maybe generations after generations, we'll be able to reprogram some of the ways that our brains work, but not at the moment. So one of the things Raageshwari is saying that even when she was feeling that pain, by now not comparing herself to somebody who was better off than she is, by comparing herself to somebody who's worse off than she is, she automatically started feeling gratitude. When you feel gratitude, you release certain brain chemicals. And when you release those brain chemicals, they start changing the structure of your brain. So every thought actually and every brain chemical you release changes the structure of your brain. So that's basically what Raageshwari and I have been doing ever since she had her, her lowest moment, and ever since I had my lowest moment. We're gradually every day just reprogramming the way our brains work by just the daily habits that we kind of inculcate. So the fact is that and the journey that I've taken on now is to just talk to neuroscientists, to talk to all these people who are doing research around the brain as to how can we bring kids up to be happier, healthier, and feeling more purposeful. Because a large part of our happiness comes from feeling purpose, right? And this is again all research backed up. We find more happiness and joy from finding meaning in what we do rather than anything else. I used to be a very highly paid consultant for the last 3 years. I've given it up and I earn nothing today. But I'm happier than I've ever been because there's a meaning and purpose behind what I do. Raageshwari used to possibly earn a lot more because Raageshwari, I know what writing a book and royalties mean. I've done too. But so Raageshwari is possibly earning a whole lot more money as the glamorous side of her, but she's possibly a whole lot happier today because through the book, she's giving so much of her gifts to parents who can sort of benefit from that. So she's way more connected and feeling way more purposeful, which is probably why she's way happier than she was, even when she was famous and glamorous. Not that she's not famous and glamorous today, she very much is, but that wasn't her purpose. Her purpose at that time was to be famous and glamorous. Her purpose has shifted. It's come to one deep one of meaning and contribution and making people's lives better. And in everything she does, I'm just so reminded. Yesterday is the first day I read her book. I'd read a couple of chapters because I wrote a blurb for the book. But just through the book, the way she is always so kind and grateful, and every time she's doing that, she does a double whammy. When I read that, I actually had tears in my eyes yesterday because she's written a piece about me in the book. And I was actually had tears in my eyes and I was running around. I photographed those pages and sent them to my family and said, I can't believe that I didn't even know Raageshwari had written this. But she's done a double dose of happiness, because when she wrote it and being grateful, she's increased her happiness. And when I've read it, I felt immense amount of gratitude and she's increased my happiness. Now imagine if we all were running around the world doing this, how wonderful this world would be.
Absolutely. And truly gratitude takes so little, no? Like sometimes I just feel that what does it take to become grateful right now, this moment? But yet I do have a question that, when you're in that happy space, like right now I am in a space where I feel purposeful, I feel peaceful, I'm very happy with my relations, my career's where I wanted to be. So I'm very happy. But when you are totally in the doldrums, like I know you both could pick yourselves up and somehow tell yourselves that, no, choose gratitude. But I don't meet people who tell me, look, I've had suppose COVID-related death in my family. How can I be happy? Or I have someone who says, my marriage is just broken. How can I be happy? And what do I find to be grateful about? What would you all tell people in those circumstances?
So very quickly, if you just look at what Raageshwari and I've done, we've increased our base level of happiness, right? So basically, we all have a default set point for where we sit. So we could be on a happiness scale, like a default point, right? So that's why the research shows you, even if you win the lottery, you get this temporary burst of being happy and you'll come back to your set point. If you have a disaster or a death in the family, you'll fall and then you'll come back to your set point. So the whole thing is not to look at how many happy experiences you can have in your life or how many sad. It's basically to keep on increasing this default set point, right? So that when the good happens, you don't go off the radar. And when the bad happens, you don't go off the radar. You stay in a steady state. Yeah. So I think that's the main thing. Nobody's saying that you don't feel. If my mom's very vulnerable and to dying. She could die tomorrow, she could die in a month, she could die in a year. And I'm very aware of that. It's not when she dies, I won't feel some amount of sadness or I won't cry, but I'll come back to my set point, right? We can't help things that happen around us. We can only control what happens inside us. I'll let Raageshwari add to that.
Well, that was beautiful.
Very beautiful.
May Mama live long and healthy. Blessings and love to her. But Megha, to see it where people can understand it in a simple way, is there is a time for gratitude. So if you feel you're going through a terrible loss, like losing a family member is a tragedy, please mourn. In fact, the Western culture doesn't allow you to mourn, right? We're asked to be very, very positive and still be maintain this decorum. Not at all. And I think the East is wonderful because we have all those moments when we really cry and let it out. Sure. And so you tell yourself that this is the moment. But if you see that you're really drowning in depression or in victimhood, like a relationship, we've bought into culture because relationships are meant to be, oh, I found my perfect man, or he is my answer, or she is the answer to my dreams. It's not the truth. Relationships are all about growth, all about really discovering yourself, because your coping mechanisms really show up, right? So you see all these amazing nuances that you've had with your parents, and you see them in your relationship. So if you've really been dominated, either you will dominate in your intimate relationships or be submissive. So you can see that very clearly. Keeping that in mind, if you're going through a trauma, if you're going through an upheaval, please allow yourself that time to mourn. But if you are taking too much time and friends around you are saying, hey, it's time to move on, gratitude could be an amazing mind shift. And everybody will have experiences, or everybody has something to be grateful for sure. When you have a relationship, definitely you have a whole lot of things. I'm not saying be grateful for another relationship, but be grateful for everything else. You're healthy, you have a home, you have a job, so you shift your awareness. And it's science based, of course, based on the reticular activating system. You change, your brain chemistry, you start seeing life differently. In the same way, if you've lost someone in your family, there was someone who had a tragedy and they were talking to me, a client. And then I realized, and I said, do you know about what's happened in Afghanistan? And there was a bomb blast. And I was telling her about the story of a woman who spent 7 years traveling to the city to consistently meet the doctor so that she could help conceiving the child. She finally had the baby, so she went back to the city to get the baby delivered. And then guess, spent 2 hours with the baby, went into the restroom, there was a bomb blast, and the baby was gone. There you go. It immediately shifts. So yes, you must look at the news, not as being addictive to the news, not at all, but awareness that this is what's happening in the world. Wow, I'm so grateful. Do I have any reason to complain? I have 3 meals a day. I have a roof over my head. And fine, if I'm earning less money, can I bring my budgets down? Can I bring my expenses down? Now, from that point, you'll start feeling grateful. So just consider it that it's impossible for you not to feel grateful. You have an opportunity at all times to feel grateful, but it depends on you. It depends on your passion to really come out of that misery, come out of that depression. Here, I really want to feel positive. There you go. Sit down, have some water, go out, take a walk if you're allowed, if you're not in lockdown. You walk and you connect with nature, and you will see, listen, I'm unnecessarily feeling low. And any issues that bring you down, there's one simple rule. Just step out. When we're consistently thinking about ourselves, that the world revolves around you, we magnify our problems. The moment we focus on someone else, there you go, you'll immediately minimize its effect on you. So that's what helped me, and I hope it helps people out there.
That's really insightful, and I love the way you say, Raageshwari, that no matter what, and sometimes it's as simple as going out. I mean, you just have to move. When you just move or do something, it immediately creates that shift, does it not? And Lina, when you spoke about that default set point, I call it as my God center. So it's like I visualize literally that I'm roaming all around. I mean, through my day, okay, this happened, that happened. And somewhere I'm coming back to that God center within me. And I love the way you said, this is something it's new to hear, that you keep increasing the threshold, right? Like the base point becomes higher and higher. So it's not like you won't go here and you won't go there, but you keep coming back to that. And when this itself rises, everything shifts, right? So,
yeah,
so
exactly. As long as everyone understands that you actually have a brain that's prone to remember the bad over the good. That's evolutionary. From an evolutionary point of view, it's not anyone's fault. If I say 9 things nice to you, Megha, and I say one thing that's critical, you remember the critical. If you go on a holiday and you go to Greece and you do this and you do that and you do everything and it's wonderful, but you lost your phone, what will you remember about the whole experience? That you lost your phone, right? It becomes memorable because something bad happened, and all the good kind of gets washed away. So as long as people remember that, and there's Dr. Rick Hansen who I interviewed. He said to marinate in the good. So when you're I'm sitting here in Goa, so I wake up and I see the whole green in front of me, which I don't see in Bombay, right? And if I can just sit with that, and if through my senses, it could be the sip of coffee I have, it could be the birds that I'm hearing, it could be the beautiful visual imagery I have in front of me. If I can take that time to marinate that in my brain, I automatically start increasing the set point I have for happiness, right? So as long as we remember that we have the tendency to focus on the bad, We'll remember what happened. And so, Raageshwari's written about journaling in her book, which is something that, at the end of every moonshot conversation I do, there's a journal, because I want to, to embed, to infuse an idea, a thought in your brain, you need to, rest in it for a while. So that's how the journaling, really, really helps. And if at the end of the day, you just write about 3 things you're grateful for. I tell parents at the dinner table, instead of asking kids, have you done your homework? Ask them, what are 3 things that went well for you today?
Wow.
At this time, what are 3 things you felt in control of today? Because there's a couple of things we have to remember about the human being. One is his tendency to remember bad over good. And I forgot the second one that I was going to say. So it's basically, and the second is to always be wanting to be in control. So if you can start thinking about the areas of your life you can control, right? You immediately start feeling better. And so even you were talking about people who've lost someone or they're feeling sad. If they can shift their mind to what is in their control rather than what's out of their control, them losing someone is out of their control, right? But what is in their control? Could it be the walks that they take to feel better? So if they can make 2 circles what's outside of my control, you can't control that anyway. So you may as well look at what's in my control and start working on working in that area rather than this area that you can't control.
Absolutely. And Lina, like you said about marinate the good, I was reading about it, and it actually said that scientifically, the negative emotions are heavier than the positive emotions. So like if you could weigh your emotions and the vibrations at that time, all the negative emotions are much heavier and the lighter ones are much. So that's why, it's like it sinks, like you said, that in 10 good things, the one bad thing strikes is because scientifically it's heavier. And to kind of counter it is what, the whole game, I think, of life is all about. Raageshwari, I want to know something about breakthroughs in career. Like right now, a lot of people are going through a lot of uncertainty in times. It's like, obviously, all of us are going to be a lot more financially prudent. A lot of changes are happening, and we all kind of like, what's going to happen next? I want to know from both of you, beginning with you, Raageshwari, that how do you view money? How do you view success? And what is your breakthrough on these fronts?
I actually, when I talk about challenges, the moment we resist a challenge and the moment we fight back, we actually lose great opportunities, great ideas that will naturally come about. So Megha and me were just talking before we went live about how this pandemic has been sort of financially great. I have a mindfulness company and only work with corporates over there. It's only corporates. And I was thinking, okay, now they've all been asked not to work. So I'm going to have an easy day and an easy lockdown period. But no, because it was so interesting that I actually accepted the lockdown challenge very easily. And understanding, fine, I had a book to launch, a tour in India, but I was just lucky that Lina was on my side and we virtually then launched the book, had so many virtual events. So you see, I think if we just let go of resisting a challenge, like you can do something about it, while where the lockdown is concerned, we cannot do anything about it, or have a positive outlook, which is totally in our hands. And then where do something is concerned, well, I would say meditate, have a vision board, create powerful affirmations. So start thinking while we're rushing into the future and thinking, I'm going to lose my job now when the market opens up, or, I'm not going to be able to make this kind of money again. I'm going to lose, my job, or all the kind of fears that people have, because we're so conditioned by our trappings, isn't it? Our positions as the CEO, as a singer, or as the author, or whatever it is that people are addicted to. Once you let go and you realize that actually the possibilities are limitless, money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple resources on a continuous basis, is an affirmation that you can have, that you never know where finances will come in from, while we are conditioned to think they can only come from a job. So I would just like to tell people that it's all about the possibilities are only in your thinking, and you can untap, or you can let it, as Tony Robbins says it, right? Awaken the genius within, or awaken the genie within. you can do that the more you are still. And with that, I mean, embrace the situation, surrender. Uh, we are just so worried about losing those cars and losing those homes when actually we can do without so many things. And just hold on to the basic necessities. Being minimalistic is something that has really taught me so many great lessons as well. So finances actually are the easiest thing to really attract where law of attraction is concerned. I feel that once you get your love right, once you get your gratitude in place, once you really let go of judgment for yourself, for others, and just really be open. Lena said it beautifully, just be open. And then automatically it's a self-organizing universe. That's why even when we have a little cut on the finger, you heal automatically without you really doing much. Animals heal naturally, with grave injuries they could have. So I think if you just let go and surrender and trust in the universe, if you believe that, if you develop that mindset, you will be amazed that you will always be looked after. Yeah.
So I'll come back to it from a brain science point of view, which is you again, we have the tendency to have a scarcity mindset rather than an abundant mindset. Again, because if you go back to how we used to live, our ancestors used to live, they had to look out for things that were scarce. So if there's water and it was scarce, you needed it. So the marketing world, the consumer world has taken advantage and praise to our feelings of scarcity, that we're never beautiful enough, we're never fair enough, we're never tall enough, we're never thin enough, we're never enough in any way. And then suddenly if we drink this, Bakari rum, we'll have more friends. And if we wear this, if we have this car, we'll get more sex.
Correct.
And if we do this, we'll get more of this. So, I mean, they've been brainwashing us for years, right? This is actually the first time, if we see it from an abundant mindset, this is actually the time for us all to pause and to reconfigure the way we've been and the way we're going forward. There's this other term in the psychology world called hedonic adaptation, right? And that's the capacity that, like I said, that, you have a default level for happiness. You also have, for example, I've got this stunning home in Goa. I'm in the middle of the forest. I overlook the whole of Goa. When I bought it, it was my partner's dream house, right? And then we used to come here like almost every second week for 3-4 nights, and we really enjoyed it. Then you go back to hedonic adaptation, which is what felt really good comes back to feeling just okay.
Yeah.
Right? So you get so something, and that's why when we have a beautiful view, or we have a beautiful new outfit, or we have beautiful new jewelry, we feel that we get the burst of the good chemicals in our brain for a while, but then after we get used to it, we come back to what is called hedonic adaptation. So then we're on this hedonic treadmill, constantly trying to get a better car. So my partner, who is actually such a wise man, started wanting to go to, this wasn't, he got used to this. We started running to Phuket. Every month we started running to Phuket, like for 4 nights, and sometimes twice a month, and constantly running there, and then it'd take you a day to just kind of recover, and then you go into different sites, because those are all new, right? So they keep speaking to your brain chemistry in new ways, because you've forgotten how to marinate the good, right? So you get used to it, and then you get to this hedonic adaptation of what it's at. So if we can all start thinking with an abundant mindset rather than a scarce mindset, which is largely what Raageshwari did when she went to the hospital and she saw all those people who were worse off than her. I don't know, my son's related to Anmol Ambani. So when we were in Tina Masi's house, and he looks at Anmol's bathroom, he says, "Mom, Anmol's bathroom is bigger than my bedroom." And I said, "Yeah, sure it is." And then I went to his best friend. I said, "Is your room bigger or Theer's room bigger?" And I went all the way down to the kid on the street. I kept comparing one friend after another till we got to the kid on the street. And then we got to the kid on the street who didn't even have food and stuff. So there's always something you can compare yourself that's greater than you, and when you keep comparing, yourself to somebody who's fairer than you, someone who's prettier than you, someone who's thinner than you, and all of that. You keep on building your scarcity mindset. When you keep on marinating in what you have more than anybody else, what you have more reasons to be grateful for, you actually marinate in the good, and you get off this hedonic treadmill that the marketing and the consumer world has put us on. And you start, and this is the time. If you look at this from an abundant mindset, you realize that this time had to come. Otherwise, Samaya, Raageshwari's daughter, who's really young, will have no world to live in. Yeah. I mean, she'll be fighting all sorts of sustainability issues. What kind of life does she have left for her? And for her kid and for their kids? I mean, we're here, we're the only species on this planet that comes in and consumes, is as Raageshwari said, is only concerned about the self. And we leave this planet with less than when we came on it. Any other species comes and contributes and leaves.
Yeah.
I forgot I was on a show actually while you were talking about the hedonic. I mean, that's a new concept.
The go and forget thing was amazing. It's such an, and we can all take that analogy and put it in our lives, isn't it?
Especially with love, right? Like when you're in love, you go through that, and then it reaches its thing. Then you again fall in love, and I don't know, it's amazing. It's
again, Megha, because as Lina said, it's just culture, it's advertisements constantly telling you that you need romance and love and you need the man. It's never about soul companionship, twin soul, which is totally not related to gender or sex at all. Like I tell Lina, you're like such a twin soul. We're rediscovering each other. So when you have that mindset that your marriage is not about him doing stuff for me and fulfilling me and pampering me all day long, if you let go of that I'm getting into a relationship because I need something, but it's purely about companionship, discovering each other, discovering my own self too, then that's a beautiful marriage, because there's just you cannot disturb my balance anymore, and neither will I, because I love and respect your authentic self, and I will be authentic as well. So no masks. We enter a relationship without masks, without fears that I will be hurt. Not at all, because your first true soulmate has to be you. Then you will never see that love diminishing. It'll be respect and love, for that matter. It's unconditional love, right? We still have to learn that, where you could be upset with me, where you could say, be authentic, be really upset, speak the worst things, and I could still hold my love and respect for you. That is unconditional love. Everything else that we're talking about is chemistry, is an attraction, is being possessive, and all of that, isn't it? That's the love that we're being fed with all our Bollywood movies. I mean, the depiction itself tells you, right? And we're immune to it. That's okay. That's the way love should be. So anyone can send you 1,000 flowers and you're like, I love you. I do love you.
You'll be amazed to know, Megha, today I'm on best of terms with my ex-husband.
I know. I love you, Lina, but that's you. You're evolved enough to go that path, which is amazing.
Because we get into relationships, we get in, and then we want to change the other person. We fall in love with someone for who they are, and then we jump in, and then we want to change that person. And I realized all the mistakes I made, when I was in my marriage, because it's not about love, then it's about control. And you actually, as Raageshwari said, if there's inner wounded bits of you, then you're actually projecting those, because you need validation. You need those healed by somebody else, and no one else can heal them except yourself.
And no amount of validation actually helps, right? Because the moment it's healed, it's so temporary. Unless you go through that whole self-healing process, it never really. And have you read the book Celestine Prophecy, where they talk about the 4 controlled dramas? I mean, it's so true. It's beautiful, Lina. You must. I mean, even for the viewers, it's a book that really tells you a lot about relationships and controlled dramas that people apply. It's interesting to read that. And I want to know, we've spoken a little about the career, we've spoken a little about relationship. What about spiritual breakthroughs? Like, have either of you had a moment where, I mean, you spoke about it, Lina, about the butterfly, but a little more, I would, because I love these. Like for me, the most exciting part of Wow Talks is when we can go deeper and talk about spirituality. Honestly, everything else is like surface for me, and I love this. So more for me than anyone else. Can you share some spiritual breakthroughs that you've had that just have, I don't know, some moments, something that would just be very beautiful to know about?
Raageshwari, you go first. Because I'm older and I need more time to think.
Oh, it should always be you first. Love you. But okay, so I would say that I've had so many, and it continues on a daily basis. I love the breakthroughs, of course. When I first meditated, the Alpha Silver Mind Control was amazing. I then I gave my father a chance that, okay, teach me TM, because he'd worked with Maharishis. He would always tell me about transcendental meditation. Finally did that. But I really love the theta healing meditation. And when I did a course, and then I did a video, and that did so well on YouTube. In fact, there's a wonderful follower of yours, Megha Jayant, who is constantly writing to me, and she's been looking forward to our show, and she was telling me what theta healing did to her and a 14-year-old. So for me, on a daily basis, when I meditate, is a beautiful breakthrough. And then when you meditate, the division and the separation that you have with people, because we are taught separation at a very young age, right? With the roll numbers, with teachers. We were not lucky, right? We didn't have teachers like Lina, who was so kind and who looked on so sweet. We had strict teachers. So if you don't come first, you're not your teacher's pet. So in many ways, that subliminally programs children and adults to not then appreciate someone else, right? Because you feel, oh my goodness, I'm not perfect, I have to be number one. And so your self-worth is so connected to academics, that you have to be an academic genius and good marks and all of that. So when you meditate, you actually undo all of that, and you become more connected with people, everybody. So the separation and this division changes. So for me, when Lina is successful in her endeavors, I rejoice in that. I understand. The more I compliment her, I almost feel I've done it. So when I see her post, and everybody all must follow Lina on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever, because I follow her. It's so wonderful to read what you write, because it opens so many paradigms that we've been teaching our children lies. We've been telling them lies, and then that's why they're going to just turn out like most of the adults, lost, directionless, and still thinking, sweetheart, corporate corner office will make you happy. So that breakthrough, I just come on a daily basis, because you realize how infinite this cosmos is, how infinite this universe is. That's how infinite your creativity can be. And the only path is close your eyes and sit and connect. So I see it on a daily basis. Oh, I'll connect with this person, I'll make a call. That itself, I mean, let me tell you, I'm meditating, and I'm in Mumbai. It's going to be New Year's. So I know, and Lina's brother, I know, is like lives every day like like it's his life. I'm just messaging him, hey Kamal, where are you? I've got this vision that you're in Mumbai. He said, I am in Mumbai, let's meet. And we met by chance. Isn't it, Lina? How quickly we met. It was so interesting. So meditation in very interesting ways brings synchronicities, brings ideas, and tells you to let go of all these layers, and then brings the true truth, the authentic you. So on a daily basis, I see breakthroughs with meditation, not just for me, Megha, for everybody. We should do this in the building. Oh, let me help that elderly person. Oh, I should do this with Samaya. Oh, listen, I need to connect with that, child, or I need to connect with that mother. You get ideas, and it's amazing. And follow them, follow your intuition.
Absolutely.
So I kind of don't separate spirituality from the everyday moments of living, right? So yes, you'll spend time meditating, which I do as well, but you can be and this Sunday I'm talking to Raageshwari about mindfulness, because almost everything you do can be meditation as long as it's done with mindfulness. It can be sipping your coffee, as long as you're aware, you're in that moment, you're grateful. It's all spiritual. The minute you help somebody, that's all spiritual. I don't, I don't think I compartmentalize spirituality from just the rest of your living. And then it just gets taken out of the religious realm altogether. That spirituality is actually just a way of being, and that the more you be rather than you're constantly doing, the more you grow in terms of your spirituality.
But have you had moments where, like, I try to live this as well, where every minute is a flow, but have there been moments of heightened, awareness or something where you know that something other than you has come, or I don't know, you know what I'm trying to say, like a real breakthrough moment in spirituality, which kind of just happened? Has it ever happened for you, Lina?
I think, Ragesh was talking about theta meditation. I do a lot of brainwave therapy meditation. And at times you feel, you get that absolute loss of your body. You actually, and suddenly you get that awareness, hey, and then you kind of, you want to twitch your arm or your toe to just convince yourself the body's still actually there, which is when it's a state of bliss. Yeah, it's just a sudden understanding that you're actually not your body, that you are so connected with the universe. I'm not even saying the planet, I'm just saying the universe, because there's so much we don't know. And I think it's, I was reading that when people have been religious or they've had faith, that because we don't have so much of that, there's so much more depression, right? But you don't have to hang your hook of belief on a religion. You can hang it on the fact that even Einstein and Tesla said so much about energy and the universe, that if those guys with so much of IQ said something, I'm sure there's something to it. For me, that's my absolute faith that I keep. You talked about my older brother and my younger brother. My older brother's the IQ smart and my younger brother's the EQ smart. So if I show my older brother a beautiful sunset, he'll say, yeah, that's because of pollution. And if I show my younger brother the beautiful sunset, he'll say, oh, wow, So they're just completely two different beings. And for my older brother, who needs this constant logic and science, and as he constantly needed the logic and science, he kept running against resistance. And it's now that he's actually taken on a personal coach who's quite spiritual in nature, that he's actually evolving and starting to understand how to reframe for more optimism, how to, so his journey is beginning. He's the oldest of the three of us, but his journey is beginning now. And he's just making great strides in every area of his life. So I think as long as you understand energy, and you understand human connection, I always say, and I'm sure Raageshwari feels like this, I say, I've got one biological son, but all the children of the planet are my karmic children. That them, there's no division, we'll have no wars, we'll have no hunger, we'll have no starvation, because hey, we're all looking out for each other's kids. I think if you just in that flow, you feel spiritual all the time.
You want to add something to it, Raageshwari?
Yeah, no, I totally, was lost in I was visualizing Lina's brothers. So yes, I believe in what Lina says, that yes, being mindful is a beautiful pathway towards spirituality. And when you meditate, if you need answers, for example, you're lost about where your career decisions are concerned, or you're lost about decisions you need to make in your personal life, and you're not getting the insights that you're really wanting, meditation will be brilliant. And then you can try out, there are so many wonderful techniques out there. When you try out, that's amazing. And then there are so many tangible, amazing techniques where they have water therapy with Alpha Silver Mind Control. Write your question, meditate on that water, wake up, and then drink that water. And so I've had so many experiences like that where I've received answers like, go to this event, or call this particular person, or take this. I mean, so many coincidences. My marriage itself is such an interesting, years ago, I had done a a photo shoot for a person. Here I was always waiting for when is my next amazing commercial check going to come to me. But only, charitable organizations would keep coming to me. Well, again, a charitable organization wants me to work for free. So it was interesting. And there was this lovely lady, Ragini Singhania, who came to me and said, we want to do a photo shoot with you. And I said, yes, sure. And then she said, but we don't have budgets. And I was like, mm-mm-mm. But then there was this kindness genie that we all have, right? And the kindness angel and genie said, no, go for it. And I did that. It was interesting. She had a wonderful photo shoot. She went on a path, her journey. I was busy with my work. And then her thoughts would cross my mind. Hope she's doing well. Hope she's fine. And then with my journey of inner discovery and finally realizing, am I really open to, now being with a companion? Because do I know myself? Because here we are all lost. I'm lost. You're lost. Now let's get married and then get more lost. So finally I said, okay, I think, I'm ready to meet someone. And it was interesting. I got an email from this wonderful girl, Nidhi Gupta Agarwal. And she said, my brother is a human rights barrister, an international law barrister. I'd like you to meet my brother. And she wrote this to me and my parents. It was interesting. I loved the work that he did. And then she told me, I don't know you, but I know everything about you from your friend, from my best friend, Ragini Singhania. So it was so interesting. Someone kept talking about me. I had no idea, and how things form. And it's only through meditation where you have those fears. I have to always consistently work that you have. Is this genuine? What do they want from me? All those silly fears consistently keep coming up, but it's work in progress. So for me, I really cannot do without meditation on a daily basis. Sometimes 3 times a day, or sometimes just when I'm in the car, I would just go into meditation, and that would tell me yes. So I've found a whole lot of answers from that to my child, to the work that I'm doing now with my book, Building a Happy Family, to meeting the chairperson at Penguin right here was unbelievable. So it's all these insights that I get through meditation. And my lovely Lina, we're connected for life. So for me, I would say, you want to be spiritual. Lina said it beautifully. It should be a way of life, being kind, being grateful, being generous, letting go of fear, not judging people for their past, not judging yourself for the past, letting go of anxiety about the future. So you become spiritual naturally. And then when you need insights and you need to reboot your energies, right? Because we are a product of years of different parenting styles and culture and conditioning. So to reparent yourself and to let go of these conditionings, meditation is very, very powerful, because that's when you can truly change your personality, change your fears, change thinking patterns.
That's a lot of wonderful tips and ideas for all our viewers.
God, a lot.
Lina, concluding remark from you as well.
So, Megha, I would say to your viewers, if you're watching this for a reason. If you can accept that, if you ask the question, you will get the answer. So whatever your question is, just freely ask it and the answer will come. If you're watching this itself should be some form of communication to you from the universe. You've probably already asked the question, you're probably already on your way.
Absolutely. The fact that we're all here must be something, right? Actually. So we've spoken about breakthrough in so many different aspects, and it's been beautiful to be with both of you, Raageshwari and Lina. Truly, at many points, I forgot I'm in a talk. And that's a beautiful compliment, because I forgot that someone else is watching it, right? I just stilled, so to speak. Thank you so much, Raageshwari, for joining us from London. Thank you, Lina, for joining us from Goa. And it's been a beautiful breakthrough evening I'm sure, for a lot of viewers.
And I'll see you on Sunday, Raageshwari.
I cannot wait. Namaste, assalamu alaikum to everybody, and go out there, stay safe, stay blessed, and conquer all your dreams.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.